Good morning, Philippines! Today we will find out what is weather and climate system. What is weather system? Weather describes the conditions of the atmosphere over a short period of time, from day to day or week to week, while the climate describes average conditions over a longer period of time. Step outside and you will experience many facets of weather: humidity, air, temperature, pressure, wind, speed, and direction, the cloud cover and type, and the amount of form of precipitation are all atmospheric characteristics of the momentary conditions we call weather. The sun is ultimately responsible for the weather. Its rays are absorbed differently by land and water surfaces. Equal amounts of solar radiation heat the ground more quickly than they do water. Differential warming in turn causes variations in the temperature and pressure of overlying air masses. The pattern of global circulation helps form large bodies of air, called air masses, that have relatively uniform temperatures and moisture over large horizontal distances. We identify different types of air masses according to their temperature, moisture, and geographic characteristics. As an air mass warms, it becomes lighter and rises higher into the atmosphere. As an air mass cools, it becomes heavier and sinks. Pressure differences between masses of air generate winds, which tend to blow from higher pressure areas to areas of low pressure. Fast-moving upper atmosphere winds, known as jet streams, help move weather systems around the world. The classification system for air masses uses two-letter abbreviation. Let's look on the table. The first letter is lowercase and signifies the moisture characteristics, where C is for continental or the dry, and M is for maritime or the humid. The second letter is uppercase and refers to the temperature characteristics. A for the Arctic or the Antarctic. P for the polar, somewhat warmer than Arctic. T for tropical, and E for equatorial. An E air mass is inherently continental or dry because water in such areas is often frozen. An E air mass is inherently maritime because so much of air at equatorial latitudes is over or near a source of water. Large weather systems is called cyclones. Rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. They are also called the lows because their centers are low pressure areas. Clouds and precipitation are usually associated with these systems. The anti-cyclones, or highs, rotate in opposite direction and are high pressure areas, usually bringing clearer skies and more subtle weather. The boundary between two air masses is called a weather front. Here, wind, temperature, and humidity change abruptly, producing atmospheric instability. When things get out of balance in the atmosphere, storms develop, bringing rain or storm and sometimes thunder and lightning too. Three of these fronts move and one is stationary. With cold fronts and warm fronts, the air mass at the leading edge of the front gives the front its name. In other words, a cold front is right at the leading edge of moving cold air, and a warm front marks the leading edge of moving warm air. A stationary front may bring days of rain, drizzle, and fog. Winds usually blow parallel to the front, but in opposite directions. After several days, the front will likely break apart. When a cold air mass takes the place of a warm air mass, there is a cold front. A cold front occurs when a cold air mass actively moves in on a warmer air mass and pushes it upward. Because the colder air is denser and heavier than the warm air it displaces, it stays at the surface and forces the warmer air to rise. When a warmer air mass is the aggressor invading a region occupied by a colder air mass, a warm front forms. At a warm front, warmer air slowly pushes against the cold air and rises over the colder, denser air at the surface. An uploaded front occurs when a faster moving cold front overtakes a warm front, pushing the warm air aloft. Usually forms around a low pressure systems. At the front, the two air masses have different densities based on temperature and do not easily mix. One air mass is lifted above the other, creating a low-pressure zone. If the lifted air is moist, there will be condensation and precipitation. Winds are common at the front. The greater the temperature difference between the two air masses, the stronger the winds will be. Fronts are the main cause of stormy weather. Types of weather. Tornadoes are also called twisters, are fierce products of severe thunderstorms. As air thunderstorm rises, the surrounding air races in to fill the gap, forming a funnel. A tornado lasts from a few seconds to several hours. The average wind speed is about 177 km per hour, but some winds are much faster. A tornado travels over the ground at about 45 km per hour and goes about 25 kilometers before losing energy and disappearing. Tornadoes form at the front of severe thunderstorms. Line of this thunderstorm form in the spring where maritime, tropical, and continental polar air masses met. Although there is an average of 770 tornadoes annually, the number of tornadoes each year varies greatly. Cyclones can be the most intense storms on Earth. A cyclone is a system of winds rotating counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere around a low-pressure center. The swirling air rises and cools, creating clouds and precipitation. There are two types of cyclones, the mid-latitude cyclones and the tropical cyclones. The mid-latitude cyclones are the main cause of winter storms in the mid-latitudes. Tropical cyclones are also known as hurricanes. An anticyclone is the opposite of a cyclone. An anticyclone's winds rotate clockwise in the northern hemisphere around the center of high pressure. Air comes in from above and sinks to the ground. High-pressure centers generally have fair weather. Tropical cyclones have many names. They are called hurricanes in the North Atlantic and Eastern Pacific Oceans, typhoons in the Western Pacific Ocean, and tropical cyclones in the Indian Ocean, and willy willies in the waters near in Australia. By any name, they are the most damaging storms on Earth. Hurricanes arise in the tropical latitudes between 10 degrees and 25 degrees. Thunderstorm. Thunderstorms are columns of moist, turbulent air with variable amounts of rain, strong wind, lightning, and hail. A storm accompanied by thunder and lightning, caused by intense discharge of electricity. What causes lightning and thunder? Lightning is a dangerous but intriguing weather phenomenon. It results from electrical currents within a storm cloud, releasing tremendous amounts of energy that can strike the ground. The weather you experience is influenced by many factors, including your location's latitude, elevation, and proximity to water bodies, even the degree of urban development, which creates heat islands, and the amount of snow cover, which chills on overlying air mass play important roles. While the climate is the average of a region's weather over time, the climate for a particular place is steady and changes only very slowly. Climate is determined by many factors, including the angle of the sun, the likelihood of the cloud cover, and the air pressure. All of these factors are related to the amount of energy that is found in that location over time. The climate system is driven by energy that is received from the sun. Some of this energy is reflected back into space, while the rest is absorbed by the land and ocean and re-emitted as radiant heat. This is known as the heat balance of the Earth. Not all of the energy that is reflected or re-emitted by the land and ocean makes it back into space, however, as the Earth's greenhouse effect acts to trap in the sun of the light. This heat balance is what determines the temperature of the Earth. That will be all I hope you've learned. Till our next meeting, be ready, be prepared.